I lied, babe. I'm gonna make another one. Okay, because I really want to cover the shading. Okay, so this mess will be explained again. Okay, so like the basic shapes, you can break down any forms with these um, basic forms right here that I'm going to draw for you. So you have your sphere, cube, and cylinder. These, if you can shade, if you practice shading these forms, then you can shade anything. That's what I believe. I fully stand behind that. So what all right, first things first, a light source would be nice. So this is your light. Now over here on this side of the cube is going to be the darkest because there's no light hitting this side. Up top is going to be the lightest because all a majority of the light is hitting up here. Right down here will be where our midtone will be. Now I'll explain what a midtone is later, but you know, the middle tone, of course. So you have your lightest, which will also be like a highlight, your midtone, and then your core shadow here. Then you'll have a cast shadow back here, which will actually be one of the darkest shadows, depending on what's going on. Now here, a big majority of the light will hit here. Now what happens on a cylinder that's similar to the cube is you'll still have a flat surface on the cap. But what will happen that's similar to the sphere is the light wraps around this spherical form here. So it'll gradually go around instead of just hitting somewhere and spreading. It'll gradually go. So that's why it'll be real dark on the opposite side, but then it'll start getting lighter as it reaches the highlight. And even over here it'll be a mid-tone going to the highlight. And then with the sphere, your highlight will be here, and it'll be like the light is wrapping around this form. So it's going to gradually fade on all sides instead of just on going in one direction. So is that. And you'll get your cast shadow here. But and now I'm gonna put this here and get a reflected light, and that's important too. All right, so the sphere is the hardest one, so to shade. So I suggest practicing this one the most, practicing how to shade a sphere, because that is the hardest and most difficult one to shade out of all three of these. So we'll bring this over here. Now what happens with the sphere, as far as the shadows go, is actually what happens with a lot of things. Well, as far as the shadow and lighting go. So here's our light source. Alright, I'm gonna call you in a minute. Let me text you real quick. Dang it. In a minute. It's really in a minute. There you go. So, I'm gonna make my brush bigger just to do this quicker. What's gonna happen is you're gonna have 5 main components. Actually, I need to make it smaller now. You're gonna have 5 main components of your shadow. So you're gonna have 5 you're gonna have your highlight. You're gonna have midtone, core shadow, your reflected light. Spelling horribly right now. And your cast shadow. Your highlight is, of course, where a big concentration of the light hits. So there's going to be this big, well, not really big, but there's going to be a noticeable, like very, there's going to be a noticeable point on the subject that's brighter than everything else. Because that's where all the light's hitting. A lot of the light is hitting in this, on that spot. Um, so So this is sort of what will happen. It doesn't look that neat. I'm gonna cheat real quick. um, yeah, it'll be something like that. Yeah, I just wanted to cheat real quick. It, you know, nice and smooth like that. And I'll erase that so you can see that. So here you have your midtone, your core shadow, which is your darkest shadow. Like no light is hitting this. It's like the dark side of the moon. No light is hitting this at all. Put that core shadow in there real quick. And then here you have your reflected light. And you know, you might say, okay, how can you have your reflected light on the same side that you have your cast shadow and also your core shadow? What's happening is this light is hitting this surface right here and it's bouncing back and hitting that there. So you'll get a lighter spot on your objects. And it's usually more on rounded forms. Like the sphere, it could happen on a sphere too. Like if you had like a green wall here, had a green wall sitting here. There could be and the light's coming from over here. There could be a bounce off that could get onto that cylinder there. So highlight, midtone, core shadow, reflective light, cast shadow. That's how you shade stuff. If you could practice these three forms, master these forms, you'll be able to shade anything. Add these 5 components to your shading, and your work will look great. That's all I wanted to talk about.